Hello everybody and welcome to Nuke 104. This is part 4 of a series for Nuke training, a little bit more advanced. I have Nuke 101, which was my intro course, so if you haven't taken that, definitely go for that. Nuke 102, which is Introduction to Green Screen Work, which has gotten a huge response. It's got a lot of, it's one of my most popular videos on my growing YouTube channel. I'm now getting people who are bumping into me in the streets and recognizing me. I'm going on job interviews at studios, and they're all like, I know you. Everyone's like, and so it's really weird seeing the community kind of identify me now personally, and just hoping to bring some more great training to you folks. I would say if you can, please support my website. I'm a one-man band. I'm not a big corporation. It's us little guys that get hurt when, someone goes around and starts pirating. I don't think I have too big of a pirating problem now, but I do have friends who have started their own website training sites, and they've actually discontinued their training. And you're seeing this across a lot of platforms of training simply because the pirating issue is so great, and they're just pretty much turning away from their audience that basically betrayed them and saying, you know what, we're not going to produce any more content if you're going to do this. Now, you might think you're Robin Hood stealing from the rich and giving to the poor when you pirate. That's not the case. I'm certainly not rich, I can tell you that. And I can tell you that it's the little guys that actually create the decent, really good training. So I just ask you to be supportive if you can. Otherwise, what's going to happen is what you're going to see, and you can see it yourself. You can look around. Some of the best training out there has the prices have been jacked up extremely high, and under investigation, I found why. It's because this stuff gets leaked into torrents and so forth and pirated. So the creators of the content jack up the price really high to get the profits as much as they can, which they could have gotten on a long-term basis had pirating not kind of lessened their sales. So you either get that or some heavy amount of requirement for / mentorship and online training so that they can lock you down in case you try to steal your work and sue you. So like I said, it's not a pretty situation. So I just ask that you support those that are just putting out the best training possible. And again, I have a lot of free training, so I haven't been like some kind of stingy guy, and I think my prices are relatively decent compared to some. But like I said before, I've seen the effects of this sort of stuff. So please be supportive of the website, and if you can, just stop by and be a patron here. So what are we doing in this tutorial here? Well, we're going to be doing 3D color correction and masking. We'll be doing UV pass workflow. That's an AOV for UVs. We'll be doing a lot of clean plating, both in 2D planar tracking and in 3D, because I know a lot of you have been requesting that from me. We're going to be getting into smart vectors, and we'll also be getting into the relight tool. We'll be using the normal pass, the position pass, and I found that this is going to be a great tutorial to just dive and practice more into the program, but it's really a great tutorial on really honing in on doing color correction. So again, I hope you guys will enjoy the ride. You can actually go to the website itself and download the materials, and we can get started. So let's go ahead and jump in. So again, if you just open up lesson1.nuke file, which is in your class folders file, you'll see that I have a couple of items here. I have everything brought into one EXR that I created. So you can see the viewer is hooked to the EXR here. And again, everything we talk about in here, if you haven't done an intro course to Nuke, or have gone through my intro course, I highly recommend you do. I think that's really all what you need. I don't think you need Nuke 102. It'd be nice to get Nuke 103 on your belt, but it's not required. So let's take a look at what this read node has. You can see I have this funky little extension here. And what this basically means is it's all relative reference. There's other ways of doing relative reference and parent reference with a dot or a dot and setting your project folder and so forth. But in this case, I've made it so that wherever you drop your Nuke 104 class files folder, these files will read regardless because it's relative to where the project file is. And in this case, it's in the folder itself, and then there's a subfolder, footage EXR. So I do this so that you guys aren't killing yourself repathing the footage and so forth on your computer. So be thankful and use this if you want to use it whenever you're handing files over to other people across different computers so that they can actually work from a folder. The only thing that you have to do in this circumstance is make sure that your Nuke files are on the outside, and then there has to be subsequent root folders or other folders in there as well. So let's take a look at what we got. So my viewer is set to this read node, this EXR, and this consists of a series of renders that I did inside of Maya. And I basically, using a shuffle copy node and just all these renders, this is probably about 5 or 6 different render sequences that I did in Maya. And I combined them all into one EXR. So you can see we have RGBA, which obviously is just the beauty pass of this object. We also have the alpha channel. Obviously, you can see it's just a value of red with transparency here. We have the depth channel, which actually has depth information in it. That'll be driving our depth of field. We have our normal map information, which is going to be used in our relight tool. I have my overall occlusion pass, which has occlusion on the actual CG of our object. I have the position pass, which is a gradient of up, down, left, right, and forward, backward in the form of red, green, and blue. You can see right here. And then finally, I have the plate shot, which here is blue. Obviously, he's wearing a blue jacket. And we got a guy back here, which we're going to remove via 3D tracking-based clean plating. So we're going to get to use a whole bunch of techniques in here. We can do some planar tracking on his hat and this area right here. So again, we're going to make this into a very Blade Runner-esque background. As you know from my previous tutorials, I love retrofitting Blade Runner-esque type materials and props into live action shots in the same way that Ridley Scott did from his original. So here is the UV pass, and we'll be talking about that, how that can map different television screens. We have the wall shadow pass, which has an alpha channel. If I hit A for alpha, you can see it there. And then I have the direct. This will consist of our beauty pass, direct lighting pass of the CG, the emission, which is obviously these like colored areas here, glow in the dark. The indirect pass for the CG, and the specular pass for the CG. Over here, if I put my viewer to this camera, this is a camera that actually I had to take out of Maya. Now, I have a tutorial that I'm working on right now. I'm about to start it, actually, and it's going to involve the pipeline of using the new Blackmagic 4K camera, which I'm really excited about. It's been on back order as of today. This is like December 8th, 2018. And this camera's been on pre-order for over 8 months, and I have it on order, and I will be doing a whole bunch of projects through this website using the Blackmagic raw footage, going through DaVinci Resolve Studio, and jumping into even Fusion possibly. So I'm really excited about this whole pure online pipeline for CG for you filmmakers and so forth. But again, I still am going to be doing Nuke training as well. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited. I got some really cool stuff coming down the pipe. So here's the animation itself. The frame range for this, if I go back to the footage here, if I put this to input, you could see the frame range is, I think it's frames 1 to 30, 134, so forth. So if I put my viewer to this, I have the camera. Now, why do I have the camera here? Why can't I just track the footage? Well, because it's the way at which I rendered it out of Maya. I did some adjustments and orientated the scene in Maya, so I had to re-bake out another camera in the position when we get into using the relight tool. So we just have to have this available. And again, you can see it's being pathed here with the good old root folder. So you should have no reason you shouldn't have any error messages coming up when you go through here. And finally, I have a redistort footage, which is basically an undistort node, clicked off to undistort to make it a redistort node, based on the footage itself, and that'll have to do with the relight tool as well. So a lot of this stuff I will be covering in my future tutorial, but really this is about staying within Nuke by itself and not jumping anywhere else. So again, in the next lesson, we're going to get started with this. There is a lot here, and you can learn a lot in this tutorial. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.